Hello and welcome everybody to This Raw Life, a small little hobby podcast that explores the different unique stories of what's going on in life outside of our own heads. Today's episode, we're interviewing another two boxers from Ottawa, Ontario, who are set to compete in the Clash of Cartier boxing tournament in March this year. Whether listening in case you're a maniacal international businessman and potential arms dealer, a relaxed, cruise-controlled, smooth sailor, or an absolute weapon out there training at like 3 a.m. in the morning, I'd recommend trying to get some sleep, but all the same, thanks for tuning in, and I hope you could take away as much as I did from this interview. Enjoy! I'm your host, Nathan, and today we're joined by my co-host and fellow national soccer team athlete, Uncle Ivan. And we're joined today by Mr. Oil and Mr. McCloskey, two fellow boxers from Ottawa, Ontario. Thanks again for tuning in today, gentlemen. Pleasure to meet you all. Uncle Ivan.
Okay, so Davey, so I'm going to ask you a question, then I'll ask Evan a different question just because you guys have a little bit different roles, at the moment here. So Davey, let's start off with you here. So especially you being a fighter last year, now your role has changed a little bit to coach. What are your thoughts on it? How do you feel about that?
About the switch of my role?
Yeah.
It kind of sucks not being on the card. I'll start with that.
Yeah.
I know the closer I get to the fight, it's I'm getting a little bit of FOMO there. I'm just happy that I can provide some sort of give to the whole thing in my more of a coaching role. I'm thankful that the other coaches felt like I was able to contribute that way. So at least I'm doing that in that regards, and it makes me feel less upset about not being able to fight this year.
Well, you're one of our best boxers right now. What's holding you back? Is there anything we can do to get you on the card?
Oh, not this year.
We got to keep the belt in our museum.
Yeah,
we need you. We need you.
There was a nice picture last year. I like that picture. One of my favorites. Nothing this year. I think it's good to give my head a break. Don't want to take any chances with that. Also, just life stuff going on. Just moved into a new place with my girl.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you, bro. Yeah, so it's not the right timing to really be giving my 100% towards a fight camp right now, and definitely don't mind the headrest, even though I'm still sparring for 3 weeks. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Evan, question for you here. So Nathan, if you haven't known, Nate or Evan here is not only a soldier but a firefighter by day or by night, depending on what shift he's on, of course.
Yeah. Wow.
So Ev, especially with your crazy schedule, how do you find being a firefighter and soldier help you in the boxing ring?
All right, I didn't see that one coming. I think for both, you need obviously a base level of fitness. So it's definitely been helpful in helping me keep that up. Never did any martial arts training before, and it's a totally different kind of fitness that you train for as opposed to what you might do for other sports. So that's been pretty cool. I think that, you got to have a bit of mental toughness to be both a soldier, a firefighter, and a fighter. So I think that is kind of carried over a little bit. I think they can definitely complement each other in different ways.
That's awesome. Okay, Nathan, any questions for the two?
Not right now. Just
firefighting.
That's something, Mr. McCloskey. I like that.
Actually, during this summer, I woke up in the middle of the night, 3 a.m., maybe 20 of these fire trucks. I'm like, what's going on? So there's a fire down the street. So this guy's saving my neighborhood in the middle of the night. His whole team's there. They're pretty cool. So it was pretty good to see them in action.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, Ivan lives in our district. So if anything happens, we're going to be there.
That's the best, man. So
and
back to you. Or sorry, go ahead, Nathan.
Sorry. So all three of you are part of the GGFGs as well, I assume. Then all infantry.
Oh yes,
and all infantry reservists too, eh?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, you know what? Maybe you should both give yourselves a little bit of an introduction of yourselves instead of us
Absolutely.
doing it. So, Olivier, if you want to go first, then we'll go to Evan next.
Yep. All right. So yeah, been with the guards for almost 6 years now. I work more on the IT side for civilian stuff. Big boxer now. It's became a lifestyle for me, so that's my third job at the moment. Yeah, that's about it. That's my life for you right there in a quick recap. Boxing,
That's awesome.
foot guards, and IT stuff.
Evan?
I've been in the unit for about 5.5 years, and actually Oil and I did our basic training together and our DP1
nice.
together, so we kind of came up together, and there's quite a few of us left, I think, from that group. We've got a pretty solid group now, 5-6 years in, that not everyone dropped off that quick, which is good. So been doing that for about 5 years, been doing the firefighting thing on the side for about, not on the side, I guess. That's the main thing. For about 2.5, coming up on 3 years. I've been living in Ottawa my whole life. Like to play a lot of sports. That's partly why I was drawn to the boxing. I wouldn't say I'm a boxer now, like Oil, but 6 months out of the year, I'm a boxer. And I train when we're training, and then I kind of take a break for the summer. And but it's fun. It's good to learn new skills and keep up the fitness. So it's a lot of fun.
Well, you're the one who actually told me about the boxing team while we were playing hockey for the guys.
Yeah.
So thank you.
There you go.
Yeah. What other sports are you guys partaking in right now? Any other sorts of training that you're building into your fitness routines?
So for me, it's boxing is quite heavy, so 5 days a week. Then with the competitive team at Beaver, you got to run 16K as well a week, so a lot of running, and then I try to hit the gym twice a week as well to keep some size, so it's not just all cardio type work.
Nice, impressive.
I know. It's a lot, but that's what you got to do.
Do what you can.
Yeah.
Worth it, 100%. Worth it. Mr. McCloskey?
I play hockey 2 or 3 times a week in the winter. Obviously the boxing a couple times a week. In the summer, kind of trade those out for lacrosse and tennis. And then running and biking all the time. Rock climbing is probably another big one. Got a membership at the gym there. I actually signed up for an ultra race in June, a Spartan Ultra. So I've been doing a lot more running than usual the last little bit, and that'll continue for the next 4 or 5 months.
Where are you doing the Spartan Ultra?
It's in Mont Tremblant.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Maybe I join you.
Hey man, I would love to have a training partner. It's running a lot of miles by yourself is pretty boring. So
hey, I'm open to it. Even if we just do the competition together, I mean, that'd be pretty cool. Send me the details.
Yeah, man, we'll do.
So, Oil, let's jump back to you here. So now with you jumping back into the coaching role, what's one of the main things you would teach the new boxers here, or someone that would start new with yourself?
One of the first things I would teach a new boxer, definitely footwork is probably the most important thing. Footwork, the hands will come with the feet. Obviously you gotta drill it into them, so you gotta make sure that they're doing that every day, that type of training. Another thing that I find is very important is learn to get hit, because you're gonna get hit either way, and you gotta tell them you don't gotta be afraid of it, and then once you can kind of get that past that first block, then it's a lot easier from there, I find. Something I try to engrave into them as they come up.
So let's go over to Evan now. So let's just see here. Let's say on a sparring day, is there any specific like training routine or warm up you would do on a sparring day that like you're getting in there, you're gonna do a few rounds?
Nothing specific. Normally when we're doing sparring, we kind of have our group thing ahead of time. But if not, definitely get some skipping in just to get the blood pumping, get your coordination down, some shadow boxing, starting pretty slow, just getting warmed up, making sure you're technically sound, and then maybe upping the intensity for a bit. Hit a little bit of the bag for a bit. Again, starting technically, but just kind of get the hands and the wrists warmed up to actually make contact. And then hopefully you can watch a couple rounds of other people sparring to get psyched up and say, yeah, I want to do that.
That is pretty good. That is pretty good.
Yeah.
I did post a few more of our matches or some rounds yesterday. I'll be posting a little bit every week. I don't want to just spam everyone, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go in for Ollie there. Is there a trap that you find a lot of amateur boxers fall into as you're just sort of starting out? Is there like a very common problem that you find is it's hard to get over, and it's like a lot of people you find, if they don't have much boxing experience or even CQC experience, they struggle with?
Just to confirm, you said a trap?
Yeah, almost like a trap, almost like like you said, getting hit in the head for the first time, or like do you find that like head goes down, everything else just they're zoned in and they lose all sense of like composure when they're fighting? Or
Yeah, so I think I got two answers for you for this one. One of them more on the sparring side, and then one in the training area. So for training, a lot of guys, they'll come in, they'll get psyched up. Okay, I'm boxing now. I'm sick. And then they pretty much, whenever they're either doing drills or shadow boxing, they tend to focus on putting power behind their punches and a lot of speed. And that can kind of ruin your technique, especially as you're starting. You'll develop bad habits. So it's really important, even as somebody who does it, like by all means, I'm no boxing pro. And even the guys who do it for 20, 30 years plus, when they first start going into the gym for their training, you start off slow, and then once you get your groove, then you can kind of speed it up. On the sparring side, a lot of guys kind of going back to like accept the hits. You also have to force your eyes open. If you don't keep your eyes open, you're not going to see stuff coming. There's absolutely no defense. You're going to just huddle up. So that's definitely something that they kind of fall into, is, you don't expect the blinking, and it happens a lot. That and, just kind of waving your hands as if you're kind of like some parry master. And then you end up going too far, and then you'll catch one in the chin. So I'd say, those are the traps.
We all bite for the feints, eh? When we first start, it's like,
even now we bite for them. So
don't go, Evan.
So especially Evan, actually, I wanted to ask you: is there any like cool firefighter stories that you have of late? Like, I want to know more about your day-to-day life as well as a firefighter and soldier. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not only as a sparring partner.
Yeah, exactly. The last big fire we had was probably about a month ago. And it was in our district, which is actually pretty rare. Okay. Everyone thinks that, fires happen all the time, but to actually be first to a fire in your area doesn't happen that often because it's a big city and there's lots of stations. So like fires happen, but not always where you're first. And we had one come in at 1:45 in the morning. So we're all sleeping in our beds, nice and cozy, and then the tones go off and it's time to go. We get up and go. And as we're on the way there, the radio guy is saying, "Oh, this is the address." And I'm like, that address sounds familiar. And because we had a fire in that exact place a year ago. And I was like, oh, this is probably going to be a real fire then, because this is a known location. So as we're getting there, I'm with a guy in the back and he's a new guy. So I'm like, all right, let's mask up in the truck to save us some time. So we can get our air bottles ready to go. We pull out, it's like a big kind of industrial storage facility, a couple storage containers with a garage in between and like big orange glow, huge fire when we get there. Which is like, sweet. We know we're going to have a good time tonight. Like if you're going to get woken up in the middle of the night, you may as well go to work, right? It's better than, going to reset a smoke detector. But, Yeah, so we go, one guy, he goes out and grabs the hose. I grab the bolt cutters, cut the lock. We get the gate open, and then we just start going to town and hitting it with the water. It was a long night. We didn't get back till almost 6 a.m. So we were there, went through like 5 air bottles, lots of work. There was like tons of clothes. The shipping containers were just stuffed full of junk. And so you pull some stuff away and then there's fire behind it, and you pull some more stuff away and there's fire behind it. So we had to dig through those whole things and cut holes in the side and everything. And it was a fun night.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, kind of wrecked the next
incredible.
day, but it was a good time.
So just because, not too many people understand a life in the day of a firefighter, can you take us maybe a day through your day at work? This way everyone understands it and can respect firefighters a little more.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I'll assume no calls, but obviously anytime calls come in, you go and do it. But I'll tell you the regular schedule that kind of happens and then gets interrupted. Basically, we show up, we check the truck. So every morning you're checking, make sure you have all the equipment. You start up the equipment, make sure that it's going to work if you need to use it.
Okay.
Check your own gear, check the gear on the truck. Then we'll usually have a meeting in the morning, just talk about stuff that we need to get done that day, whether it's, picking up equipment elsewhere or what type of training we're going to be doing. Then maybe go get some groceries for the day. So that's an important part. Gotta have your lunch and dinner ready to go. So yeah, we'll go get groceries, come back, and we might do some training in the morning. It kind of depends. Sometimes there's official stuff that's booked and we might have to go off site, but a lot of it is just in-house with your own crew. Your captain will run the training and they'll just say, okay, we're doing this today. Whatever that may be. Then cook some lunch, eat it, have a little bit of relaxed time. And then usually in the afternoon, there's a bit more training. And that could be, some mandatory stuff like medical recertification, stuff like that. Which is, sometimes it's just watching videos and PowerPoints, which is kind of boring, but you also have to go do some practical stuff. Then usually hit the gym. Every station has a gym, which is a pretty nice perk.
That's awesome.
Cook dinner, eat dinner, then wash the truck, and then it's kind of time to shut her down and relax, or you kind of have your own time to do what you want. And then you go to bed.
So here's a question. So when, cause I heard this from other firefighters, I don't know if you guys do it. Let's say you're driving the big truck and you go over the curb. Do you buy everyone ice cream?
That is a thing. Yeah. If you hit the curb, you got to buy treats. Yeah.
That's amazing. And you're with the Ottawa Fire Department, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
So if someone wants to apply for the Ottawa Fire, where's the best way to do that then?
The best way, I would say, just look it up. It's on the city website. They run a recruitment 2 times a year. I don't know the exact dates, but if you're interested in it, definitely, I'm pretty sure you can sign up for an alert where when that job posting comes available, you can get notified. But if not, just keep checking back maybe 3 weeks, every month kind of thing. Cause I think it's open for about 6 weeks.
That's amazing.
But yeah, they run it twice a year. A couple things that you need. Well, all the requirements will be listed there, but you need to have your air brake and big truck license. It's called your DZ. You need your NFPA 1001, which is a certification, basically like firefighting 101.
Okay.
And you need a first responder, which is a little bit higher medical training than standard first aid.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no,
I had no idea about that. Nathan?
That's pretty cool. Yeah, Mr. McCloskey, before you mute yourself again, I'm going to send this one right back to you real quick. Do you find that you're, as a first responder, you have you have to have an ability to keep your head level in stressful situations, like when your body's physically exerted to a high standard, especially fighting fires? I know it's not an easy, that's not a physically easy job. Do you find that you have an easier time keeping composure under higher pressure?
I think that, again, if I'm speaking to anyone who is interested, you should kind of have that quality already. And you do develop it a little bit as you get more experience. But it's good to know that you can kind of handle it, which was nice coming from a bit of a military background in the reserves, where it's like, especially on courses, you're getting yelled at all the time and everything's go, 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 to kind of understand that, okay, like, yeah, they're yelling at me. Yeah, it's maybe an emergency in their eyes, but you still have to do it right. And you can't just kind of get flustered. So I think that was probably a good jumping off point, a good way to test and improve your mental resolve and your level-headedness in those high intensity situations. But another thing is, when you train, your knowledge is higher, so you're better prepared to meet the challenges that you're going to face, right? Because if you took someone off the street and told them go deal with this, well, they're going to be stressed out just because they don't know what to do. But once you have procedures and policies to follow, and you have a bit of knowledge and training, then it makes it a lot easier because you kind of know what to do. And it doesn't mean it's not stressful, but you have to revert back to that training, and which is why we train every shift.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's pretty cool.
And Mr. Oil. Oh no, my thought died. That's ridiculous. Oh yeah, sorry. Were you street fight? Have you got any street fights, or were you fighting at all growing up? And you find that, and did you actually make mistakes during some of those fights that really changed your perception of fighting at all?
That's not a question I was expecting whatsoever. Yeah, I definitely have. Not for a while now. I used to be a little meathead, as my friends would call me. Pretty level-headed now, I find. So not for a little bit, but definitely when I was younger, just no form. That's the biggest thing I find. A lot of guys, and no defense as well. If you get into a brawl, it's just kind of like you're just swinging for a knockout, really. Nowadays, with boxing training, just having some form, like, I feel like it would be a lot easier. And it's less dangerous too, but still, I tend to stay away from that type of stuff now. As any grown man should, I find. But yeah, I'd say back in the day, if I had some defense and, proper form, it would have, some things would have gone a lot better. Yeah.
Do you, as a result of that street fighting, multiple, encounters, do you find that you have like a creative edge at times when you're boxing, and you almost feel like, because at a younger age, you were watching body movements and how they line up shots and how they present during a fight, do you find that you're able to anticipate certain moves moving forward into your boxing? Do you think that gives you a little bit of a step? Like, how would you see it?
I'd say not really. Not at least for me. Find a lot of the streets fight that I got into when I was younger, a lot of it was dirty. A lot of sucker punching. Not many fair fights, I would say. So no. And, also you're kind of, most of the time, at least, I was intoxicated, so I'm not paying attention to that. I'm trying to land the hand on the chin. But, yeah, I think some things can translate from that. Just if I find if you get into street fights as a kid, and I have a couple friends who have joined boxing since I have, the ones who have a slighter edge in the training, even if they don't know how to box, they have somewhat of an ability to throw a punch. And I find it can be harder for other people who've never done that, who maybe have done that once in their life, to pick up the sport, because all of it is like brand new to them. Yeah.
Nice. And back to you, Mr. McCloskey. I got another question for you. Emotional regulation, whether it be your job as a firefighter or out on the court, is there any ways that you found are very important for training or mediating or controlling that emotional surges? Because I find sometimes you're like, up here and you're really, you have a lot of energy and you're very sociable and whatnot. And sometimes you're a lot more reserved and you feel, I don't know, I feel like I get very negative and I have a very negative outlook and it's almost harder to want to train and it's harder to be motivated, especially when you're tired. Is there strategies that you've had, that sort of tailor towards a more emotionally regulating personality? If that makes sense?
Okay. I would say, like if we're talking about work, for example, if you do have a call in the middle of the night and then maybe it's just resetting an alarm or something and then you're coming back and now it's 2 a.m, but you're wide awake. I find breathing helps, just kind of focusing on slowing down and using the breath to kind of guide your overall posture. And it doesn't always work, I'll be honest. Sometimes but I mean, that can happen at home too. You wake up in the middle of the night, you can't get back to sleep, but I think it is like breath is a big thing. I think it's getting a lot more play nowadays and how the breath can really control a lot of the body and the mind. So yeah, breath work is definitely a big one. I think you were talking about not wanting to train when you're tired. I think if you have a schedule and a goal, it's a lot easier to overcome that motivation or lack of motivation because you can look ahead to the overarching goal that you want to achieve, and maybe in the moment you don't want to do it, but you have your calendar and you say, well, today's Tuesday, this is the day that I run 5K or whatever the case may be. It's easier to say, well, if I want to meet my goal, I have to stick to the plan. So it's kind of, you make the plan ahead of time so that you don't have to rely on motivation because it's not always there in the moment.
No, makes sense.
I don't know if I captured the essence of the question.
That was good.
100%. I call you off guard. I found that a very interesting answer. Thank you, Mr. McCloskey.
All right.
Oil. Is there a friendship or a relationship that you forged in boxing? Almost like a mentor-mentee relationship that you forged as a coach recently? And how have you seen them develop? What have you noticed?
Phone's on mute and it's not on mute anymore. So I think did you ask specifically for mentors or for any types of relationships?
Is there somebody that you've sort of taken on a mentor position or more of a teaching experience or teaching position, I guess, because of your experience with boxing and you sort of embraced and you've watched them develop and grow, and how have they changed?
Yeah. So as for me, so I guess for most of the fighters that I've helped, I appreciate that they feel confident enough in me to take my advice and kind of work with it. And when they do, I do notice that things change. For a specific person, my sister's boyfriend, he started boxing maybe a year ago, just in New Brunswick when we went down to visit my grandparents, just on the driveway, shadow boxing, and I started showing him how to do stuff. And since then, he's now at Beaver. He's quite talented. He's one of those guys that I was talking about where you fight when you're young and you kind of already have that natural instinct to fight. Not somebody I enjoy fighting, and I don't think anybody would enjoy fighting him. So I think one, it's nice to be that person for somebody that's kind of showed them the ropes, and then two, it's nice that all the information and lessons that you've given them, you can kind of see come to life.
Nice.
Yeah, Oil, let's stick with you here. So since you're part of the competitive boxing team and, take us a week through your boxing schedule. Like, let's go into detail on what it takes to be a competitive boxer here in Canada.
All right. Good question. So it really depends on the week as to what we do. Most days, Mondays, so we have 3 training days a week. Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. And our Saturdays is our sparring days. So that's kind of speaks for itself. We spar that day. That's about it. Mondays, it's more technical. Sometimes we work on footwork. Sometimes, it's all bag. Sometimes it's all pads. Sometimes we do a mix of sparring drills and pads. Like take today, for example. I thought it was going to be a chill pad day. I go in, we do like 10 minutes, like warm up abs. Then we do, a Metador drill. I don't know if Evan or Ivan, you guys have ever done that. It's pretty much the worst drill in boxing where somebody's just rushing you with like this big pad that you hold on to and you have to push them away as they're coming towards you. And then 12 rounds, on the bag and then more abs afterwards. Yeah. So it's some days like today it was pretty tough. Some days it could be easier. And then most days on Wednesday, we do sparring drills the whole time. So it's pretty much sparring, a lot less intense and not in the ring. So you tone it down maybe to like 50%. And then you do more scenario based stuff. And then obviously the running that I mentioned earlier, 15K. That's about it. And then you gotta rest, but it's tough to rest right now.
When you're not training with the team, how much are you training on your own?
So every day I'll do shadow boxing and skipping. Okay. And then, Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. So 3 days.
That's impressive. That's good, man. That's a lot of training. Good for you, man. That's impressive.
Appreciate it. It's a lot of work. But I find with boxing, if, the more you give in, the more you're going to get out from it. And as you kind of move up in the levels, things start to get a lot more complicated to be able to get to those next levels. If you don't train those most days, then you're not going to be able to really develop those new skills.
So what would you say the benefits are that you're now on the competitive boxing team? So, you joined same time as both Evan and myself. So you now decided to take it to the next step, go competitive. Are you looking to, possibly have some bouts in the future that we can watch?
Again, it really depends. Depends how my head's doing. I can't say for sure. As of right now, no. I'm more leaning towards the coaching side. I like it a lot. And at the same time, I'm still training with the boys and I'm still sparring. So it's not that I'm not really fighting.
Right.
It's just, we'll have to see, take it a month at a time, and maybe one day I do want to get another dub under the belt. So,
yeah. So you're looking at the coaching roles. Is there any specific licenses that you have to get to be a certified coach or anything?
Yeah. So right now I wouldn't say like I'm like a full-on coach. I'm just in somewhat of a coaching role with the Army guys, and I'm okay with that. If you do want to be a coach, I think you have to do a class. I believe it's in is it North Bay or Thunder Bay?
Oh, wow.
Or Kingston. I can't remember, but it's a couple hours away and it's a week long. You have to do that, and then you also have to get your coaching license, which, when you go sign up for your sparring.
Yep.
It's just that. You just have to pay a little extra, and then you're qualified as a coach as well. You're not qualified, but you're allowed to be a coach. You're not wrong.
That's awesome.
But I think it takes a lot more than that. Years of kind of being mentored by somebody else to bring you into that position. And then also just years of experience in boxing. And I think is very important as well.
You being in the coaching role, how has that helped you as a boxer? Like, has it made you see amateurs' weaknesses better? Like, what's the benefit of you coaching and being both a sparring partner?
Yes, so I do I notice things a lot more now. I think my mindset has kind of changed as I watch somebody. Before it was, I'm really focusing on fighting. So I'm looking, okay, like this person does this really well. You're I guess, and it's the same thing, but it's not really the same thing. You know, you're fighting one person instead of looking at things to help them.
Right.
So but you're still looking for weaknesses in both. But you're also looking at things that they could improve. And I think you're not doing that when you're just fighting them. You're just looking at what's negative about it. But when you're looking at what can be improved, you can take advantage of that. So I think that's the big thing when you're looking at fighters.
And being a competitive fighter, what are the biggest challenges? Like, is maybe working out 7 days a week, finding time to do that? Is that the biggest issue? Like, what are the biggest challenges for someone looking to be competitive so they understand, you know, the sacrifices that people like you are making?
Yeah, it's a lot of work. Some days you have to put in more work at the gym too. Like I said, it's part of my life now, in the sense where it's a third job pretty much. Excuse me. And yeah, you just you have to give a lot into it if you want to do well with it. But yeah, the 7 days a week, even if you cut it down to 5 days boxing and then you have your running, it's still a lot on your body. So you got to make sure that you're recovering properly, you're resting, you're eating well. Although I could probably be doing better with that.
We all can, don't worry.
Without being a big thing, yeah.
Mr. McCloskey, I'm going to send one over your way. You obviously do a lot of different activities for your physical fitness. Hockey, from what I heard, boxing, firefighting in general, rock climbing. Is there one that you find the most enjoyable, that you get the most out of? And what do you find that you develop the most during that activity?
I would say the most fun is probably hockey, because it's, I grew up playing and then I kind of stopped. I played a couple of years of men's league and then I stopped for about 5 years, just because a bunch of the guys that I played with moved out of town and was kind of like, well, whatever. So I'd play a couple times a year. But now I'm playing actually in the work league, in the fire league.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, that's a lot of fun, because it's a good way to see people outside of work, and you see people on other shifts that you don't normally work with. And it's pretty good hockey. There's a lot of guys, well, not a lot, but there's a few guys who used to play pro or junior. Like,
wow.
It's pretty big diversity in skill. Cause then there's other people like us who are just, beer league guys. But that's a lot of fun, because you also get that social aspect, and it kind of takes you back to being a kid when you're playing with all your friends. I would say rock climbing is a little different, where it's more solitary. It's like build strength in a different way. And it's kind of like a puzzle piece that you're solving with your body. So it's like, you don't just need skill and strength. You need to kind of figure out how to move a certain way in order to be successful. You can't just power your way through everything. Sometimes you need to be a little more delicate and move slowly with purpose. So, that's an interesting one, because again, it brings together the mind and the body to kind of solve a problem.
Nice. And for both of you, is there a friendship or a connection, a relationship that through communities outside of your regular job that you forged through participating in extracurricular activities that's really stood out to you? And what is that friendship or relationship? Oil?
I was hoping you asked Evan first.
I can start if you want to think.
Evan, let's start with Evan then. Start with Evan.
Yeah, so if we take it back to hockey, the guys that I grew up with, well, there's a picture there on the wall you probably can't see, from my grade 12 year community team. And probably out of the 15 guys in that picture, I still am in contact with 10 or 11. We still have annual camping trips, with them and a bunch of other buddies. So it's a nice way because like I said, a bunch of them have moved to Toronto, Vancouver, out of town. So it's a nice way to get to see all the boys, and we've got a group chat constantly going. So it's a good way to keep in touch. And, I'm in my 30s now, so it's not like you just make friends like that because you don't have school, that you're just kind of friends with the people at your school when you're young. But now it's a little more effort to maintain those social relationships because you don't just have a place you need to be every day of the week with people your own age. So yeah, it's definitely I find the friends that you have when you're young, if you can keep them, it's there's nothing quite like it because you grew up together, you knew them before they were kind of real people, real adults. So yeah, there's a lot of history there and a lot of interesting stories that you can reflect back on.
Nice. Over to you, Oil.
Okay. I'm gonna bring it more to the present moment instead of the past. I think with my boxing gym, there's I would say a strong friendship and sense of community there. Everybody knows each other. It's all love when you go in the gym. And at this point, most of the guys there, it's like a second family. You see them 3 times a week. I see them more than most of my other friends. So I think that's a big thing that you get from doing these types of extracurricular stuff. You get a whole new group of friends, and people that you can count on and talk to, and just kind of, bring a little bit of extra joy into your life. When I go into box, it's not just to box, but it's to go talk to my friends, have a good laugh, and really kind of, grow together, as well as an individual.
Nice. I like it. How about you, Uncle Ivan? Any friendships forged in fire out in the ring or what?
But your friendships are stronger with every training session. I mean, both Oil and I were training all last year together. He was coming over. We were training in the basement, breaking down videos. Evan, we were training. We were even playing hockey together. So, I mean, sports in the Canadian Armed Forces is how I make most of my friendships, really. So I'm all for it. All right, Oil, back to you here. Just, as you're helping train and, it's a question for both of you actually. As you both are helping everyone train for this big event, what are the main focuses that you would maybe tell, someone that's fighting on March 2nd here? Is it maybe, hey, you're going to have the jitters, make sure your cardio is really good, or, work on your legs. Your legs are going to give out really quick in the ring. You being a fighter and Evan, you being a sparring partner for so long, what are your experiences that you can tell us, amateur guys? Any tips help?
Yeah. Before I say anything, I just want to say that last year that was a blast, man. And
yeah, man,
I loved it. Over and train with you a little bit before your fight there.
Let's do it, brother. Back. Love it.
I'd say a couple of things. Take your training seriously. There's always some guys who want to fight, and they say they do, and then when it comes to their training, you can tell that they're not putting as much effort in as they should be, whether that be cardio, drill work, or just commitment in that area.
Yeah.
So take it seriously, because when you're in that fight, It's a lot different than sparring, and nothing really can prepare you for that unless you've done it before. So that cardio is a big thing. Run a lot or skip all the time. But you really do have to get that up if you want to last those 3 rounds and do it comfortably. Well, you're not going to do it comfortably because you're going to get punched in the face. But if you, the most comfortable that it can be. And then 3, hitting that jitter subject there, you gotta be mentally prepared for it. You know, when I was getting ready for the fight, I was really I was all in, you know, and you gotta really be like that, and you gotta convince yourself that you're gonna win. You gotta convince yourself that you're gonna be calm when you go out there, and you gotta mentally prepare yourself for that whole scenario. Cause some people, you know, they can take that a little easier, but if you're not one of those people, then you really do have to convince yourself beforehand to make sure that you're ready.
So with mental preparation being pretty tough for some people, what did you do before your fight to calm yourself down and get ready so you're not just super nervous and jittery and then, you know, you're gassed in the first 30 seconds of the fight?
So first, I was actually quite gassed in the first round. I made the mistake of not breathing the whole first round, and then got to the corner and kind of asked myself, why am I here? But but I did feel calm going up into it, and I felt very ready. I'd say, you know, think of a routine in your head beforehand and do it when you get there. Keep doing the same training that you've been doing when you get there, to get pumped up as you would sparring. For me, Coach Mike actually gave me a song right before he wanted me to listen to, and it was this Viking music. And I'm not kidding, I listened to it on repeat for 5 hours before my fight, and I was pretty freaking psyched to get in there. I was ready.
Yeah, everyone has different ways, man. That's amazing. We need to know your secrets.
So yeah, if you want to get fired up, listen to some Viking war music, and that shit will get you going.
I'm gonna try that tonight. Evan, what about yourself?
Well, I haven't actually stepped into the ring, but I definitely think that Oil hit the nail on the head where it's the physical and mental preparation, and you have to take it seriously. And I think that the mental comes from the physical. It's easier to be mentally prepared when you know that you've already put in the work to be the best person or the better person in the ring on that day. And you kind of have to have that mentality all the way through your training. Again, going back to what I said before, if you have a plan and you stick to it, you should know that you're doing more than the other guy that you're going to be facing. And if you're not doing something, well, guess what? The other guy's doing something and he's going to be maybe in better shape. So that's your motivation to not get lit up on the day of the fight. So I think that one kind of follows the other.
So Oil prepares himself with aggressive Viking music. How do you mentally prepare yourself? Especially you being a firefighter and you always being in these high pressure situations, maybe you could give us a little insight on how you and maybe other firefighters do this that can help us in our everyday lives.
So if we're talking about on the way to a call, you do have the benefit of a couple of minutes before you get there. So you're riding in the back with another firefighter, or you're driving, but let's just say you're sitting in the back and you're going to be doing some work. You have a couple of minutes to talk to that person and make a plan, and the captain's in the front seat as well, and you can loop them in and say, okay, you know, obviously you're going to see what happens when you get there, because, you know, people don't always relay the best information when they're panicked and calling 911, but you still get a bit of information. So you can at the very least say, like we did for that fire that I was talking about, okay, you grab the hose, I'm going to grab the tools. So we know we each have our job when we get there. So if we're talking about people in their own lives, usually you have more time than you think, and if you have a team around you, communication is key to make sure that everyone's on the same page and knows what they're going to be doing. Yeah, I feel like there was something else. What was the question again?
How do you mentally prepare yourself, as Oil uses Viking warm?
Right. Honestly, me personally, I'm a little different. I'm more like a quiet, like let me kind of visualize and think things through, and just kind of get psyched up that way, or maybe not even psyched up. It's almost more like calming down.
So you pretty much close your eyes and you think about your game plan on what you have to execute, and you just do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm not really the type, where you see big speeches in sports movies and stuff like that. I'm more like, I need to get in the zone, and to do that, you kind of want to bring it down, not bring it up, so that you can be sharp. So everyone's different. Everyone has their thing. I will say though, on the way to my interview, when I was driving to my interview for firefighting, I was playing the song Unstoppable by Sia on repeat the whole way there, and I was just like getting dialed in.
So you got Unstoppable by Sia. We got Olivier with war music, Viking war music. Love it.
Right.
So we're just coming up on a close on the hour here. Nathan, is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, gentlemen. Is there any way for any avid listeners or viewers to keep up with your progress and how it's going, and your training or your job outside of work? Is there any ways that people can follow you? Oil?
I'm not a big guy of posting or really having anything to share.
I post more for you.
Yeah, you do, exactly. Yeah, you can follow Ivan. That's one thing. Yeah, I'd say that's really it. I mean, I have stuff that you guys can follow me on, but I'm not posting anything with it. Haven't in a while, so wouldn't really do anything. Yeah, follow Ivan. Go watch the fight. You'll see me there. And
yes, in our corner. Let's go.
Hopefully a couple times.
Are you going to be holding the belt behind every fighter?
Yeah, for all the guards, because the cameras didn't get it. So. Next to suck.
Nice. How about yourself, Mr. McCloskey?
Pretty much the same. I don't have Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever. I have Facebook, but I don't really use it that much. So follow Ivan. He's the key to success.
Love it, boys. I love it. Is there any closing remarks that you guys would like to say? Like, Olivier, we'll start with you, then Evan. Maybe add something that you want the viewers to listen to, or any insightful words you might have.
Thanks for having me on. It was nice to meet you, and to be a part of this. If you want to get involved with boxing, come to Beaver. It's a great gym. Come to the fight. You meet people at the fight, and I promise you it's going to be a good time.
Awesome. Thank you. Evan?
Yeah, nothing much. Thanks a lot for having me on. I'm going to echo what he said. Go to the fight March 2nd at the Shaw Center. It's going to be an awesome night. And thanks a lot, and we'll see you guys later.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Nathan, any closing remarks?
Again, best of luck as you move forward into your careers and, your boxing or your extracurricular activities, for the whole array of them in Mr. McCloskey's case. But it's been a pleasure meeting you fellas, and I wish you all the best for at least the rest of the week for now. Uncle Adam, back to you.
And Nathan, once you have this all recorded and stuff and edited, send it to me, and then I'm going to post it with a picture of both Evan and Olivier, just so we can share the good news of your podcast. Sounds good, buddy?
Sounds like a plan, boss.
Awesome. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I appreciate your time. So we'll probably have this edited in a week or so.
Thank y'all for tuning in. I hope you learned a thing or two, and maybe even inspired to take a swing at boxing yourself. Coming up next in our Clash of Cartier series, we'll be interviewing somebody else related to the event, and I guess we'll just have to wait and see who it is. Stay tuned, and we'll see you soon. Toodles!